Welcome to Dump Truck Toolbox. I'm Alan, and today we're going to talk about my fear of bridges. One way I like to think about emotions is that there's this sort of steady state in the middle where the emotions are just not active, not driving my thinking or my behavior all that much. And then there are levels of emotions, very extreme, +3 to -3, and then also types of emotions. So there's joy, anger, expectation, agreeableness. I want to deep dive this dimension of anger and fear. In an extreme situation of anger, we authentically will be potentially motivated to fight. And in an extreme level of fear, approaching terror, we will be motivated to either flee or freeze. As a driver, intense anger to the level of road rage is not going to serve me or the people around me well, and that's something we need to be careful about. If I feel my anger running away, especially for the drivers on the road around me who are cutting me off or honking at me because I'm going slow. Well, surprise, I'm driving a dump truck. I have to sort of rein that in. And I talk about this in a video from a little while back. How about fear? We often drive over this bridge, the James River Bridge. Beautiful part of the world. The bridge is 4.2 miles long. On a sunny day, it is just a delight to drive across it. Some time ago, we were on a project where we were regularly carrying spoils across the bridge and often carrying sand back across the bridge. And I had a number of days where I would make 8 round trips across the bridge and on top of the water. Just a few months before, a tractor trailer driver for another company was driving across a bridge tunnel in our region. Unfortunately, he apparently blew a steer tire, veered to one side of the bridge, and then veered to the other side of the bridge, broke through the rail. The entire rig went into the water, and tragically, the driver did not survive. I'm driving across the bridge, and I notice, wow, I'm really high up here. And I sort of glance over, and there's the rail. I don't know, maybe it's a stronger rail than the bridge where this tragic accident happened. And then I look over and down, and there's the water, cold and deep. This is an emotion. It's not necessarily a rational thought, but it's an emotion, and an emotion that was not serving me well. And so I used my head and my hands to try to manage this emotion that was not serving me well. So how did that work? In the moment, I noticed, oh wow, I'm actually feeling some fear here. And so I decided I needed to change what I felt. And so some of the things I told myself was, number one, dump trucks drive across this bridge all the time, and they always make it safely. So the odds of anything happening rationally are really, really minuscule. So I tell that to myself. And I am the most persuasive person I know, just like you are the most persuasive person you know. If I say something to myself often enough, I actually start to believe it. Secondly, I took action. I actually behaved in a specific way. In the moment, I said, okay, I've got to focus on what I'm doing. And I try to do this all the time, but every now and then I'm doing something else. But I said, going across the bridge, 2 hands on the wheel, 2 eyes on the road, and my mind on my driving. And I'm going over the bridge, very, very attentive, very, very vigilant about my driving. So vigilance is a behavior, right? It's also an emotion. And so by focusing on my driving, hands and head and eyes, I'm actually sort of crowding out the fear. I'm doing something that really does improve my safety, improve my safe driving as I go across the bridge. But also, if I'm deliberately trying to cultivate vigilance, well, that's going to tend to, over time, not immediately, miraculously, but over time, to push out some of the fear. And then there are another couple of behaviors I started engaging in even more diligently. First of all, I always try to do a very thorough pre-trip, and I upped my game on my inspection of my steer tires. If the accident that I referred to earlier did start with a tire blowout, well, part of that's on me to make sure that my steer tires are properly inflated, have good tread, no damage on the sidewalls, no loose lug nuts. And so I actually changed the way I inspected my steer tires. I look at them while the hood is still tipped forward, and I try to look further around the edge of them. Very practical, small thing, but something to give me a little more confidence, to minimize some of the fear that I might experience. The second thing I did, I made sure that I had a multi-tool actually strapped to the side of my seatbelt with a couple of zip ties. And that multi-tool has a very, very sharp blade on it, so that if I went in the water, I would be able to cut the webbing. Now the reality is, if that truck is veering across the bridge and hits a guardrail and then goes flying through the air and hits the water, I may or may not be able to cut the web. I may be, unconscious or whatever. But once again, I'm not claiming this is a rational thing that substantially decreases the odds of me having a major incident. But it's a little thing. It's something I could do, something I could control, and I actually felt good about it. And in my pre-trip, I just reached down and tapped my multi-tool. And said, yep, it's there. And then the final thing I did is I stuck with it. I never had any intention of calling my foreman and saying, I don't want to drive across the bridge. I mean, I live in an area with water everywhere, bridges and tunnels, that you have to drive across to live life, much less drive a dump truck. And so I just said, okay, I've driven across this bridge a million times in my personal car. I just need to keep doing it. And sure enough, within a day or two, the fear was not there. I was a little apprehensive, but then if I noticed I was getting apprehensive, I strove for vigilance, 2 eyes on the road, 2 hands on the wheel, my mind on my driving. And then I remembered, yes, this morning I checked my steer tires very carefully. Yes, I have my web tool. I got toughened up to, I'm driving across a bridge. Yeah, there is a minor risk here, but I can do this. And now, you know, I drive my dump truck. I've driven my dump truck across that bridge hundreds and hundreds of times. And after the first day and a half, 2 days, the fear was not a substantial issue for me. I want to leave you with this idea that our emotions are an important part of us. They're not bad. They are what we experience, how we live our lives, how we make it through the world. At the same time, though, we're not helpless in the face of extreme emotions. We can do things. We can change our thinking. We can change our actions. We can displace an emotion that's not working for me with a different emotion. And doing that, I at least, I enjoy my work more, and I'm honestly a safer driver, and I hope, a more pleasant person to be around. If you found today's video interesting or useful, please click the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Once again, thank you for joining me on the channel today. This is Alan, and I hope to see you again soon on the Dump Truck Toolbox.